asked for an open marriage, but no one wanted me, the same couldn't be said for my husband. Hi everyone, I guess I'm looking for some serious advice. You see, I've backed myself into a situation that I thought I wanted, but now I'm watching it play out in a way I didn't expect or want. I feel very frustrated, and I think I have a right to be, so I thought I'd come on here and try to see what you guys think about it. And of course, get some advice. So, a couple months ago, I asked for an open marriage. I was honest about it. I didn't sneak around, I didn't lie, I played it clean. But now my husband is the one benefiting from it, and I'm the one left out in the cold. That just doesn't feel fair. Here's how it started. I, female 40, have a husband, Joel, male 41. We've been married for 11 years, classic Appalachian love story. We grew up in the same town, a town with a population of 2,000 people. Where we're from, people didn't typically leave, and if they did, they always came back. My family had been in the town for centuries. Same with Joel's. The entire town had only one school, one church, one gas station. I'm sure you get the point. I'd always know Joel. Our families were friends. We grew up together. On my 6th birthday, he kissed me. 2 days into summer break in the 6th grade, he asked me out. That same summer, we held hands for the first time on our first date. We made plans when we were 16 to get out of our town as soon as we could. When we were 18, we graduated high school. A week after graduation, we were out of there. We settled in New Jersey, close enough to our home state of Pennsylvania, but also so far away. We didn't love Jersey, but anywhere was better than our small town where the smell of poverty stuck to your clothes no matter how hard you washed them. That August, we both enrolled at Rutgers. We've stayed together through the broke years, the job hunting, the tiny apartment, the dog that chewed up everything, all of it. He's always been the funny one, witty, soft-spoken, and observant. I was the one who brought the calm. I was the logical one, the anchor for his wild, crazy dreams. Marriage is funny. I think everyone I know wants to get married, but doesn't actually want to be married. The people were right. It's hard. It's really effing hard. It's spending a lot of time with someone day in and day out and choosing not to be bored by them, choosing not to let your eyes wander, choosing to love them, choosing to keep the fire going. And after a decade together, I felt like I'd done a pretty good job keeping that fire alive. Until someone came along. Let's call him Nate. Male, 35. Nate was a slightly younger guy at work, the kind who knows exactly how to talk to women just enough to keep things charged without ever saying anything explicit. We had chemistry, obvious and intense. Everyone with eyes could see that. I'm not an idiot. I know the signs. I knew what it was leading to, and honestly, I wanted it. But I didn't want to be the cheating wife. I tried to resist my attraction to Nate for so long. I really did. I told myself that the only reason I was so attracted to Nate was because he looked a lot like Joel. And that wasn't me trying to deceive myself. They did look alike. Close-cropped brown hair, big and muscular, nice full lips. Sorry, I'm rambling. You get the idea, don't you? After about a month or so of denying my feelings, I couldn't take it anymore. Nate was driving me insane with lust. I felt like I was milliseconds away from jumping his bones whenever I was too close to him. He knew it too, the smug bastard. I swear, he was doing these things on purpose. He would lift his shirt so a little bit of his tummy and happy trail peeked out. He would lean over me to get to something on the top shelf. He would whisper jokes in my ear during meetings when our manager wasn't looking. I genuinely could pull my hair out. The intimacy with Joel was good still, but I was so curious about what Nate would be like in bed. I decided that since I didn't want to be the cheating wife, I would be the honest wife instead. I brought up the idea of an open marriage like I'd just been exploring the concept intellectually. I decided to just tell Joel all at once and not suggest it over a couple of months. He always did appreciate honesty. I sat him down one Saturday afternoon and yapped his ear off about emotional autonomy, desire as something fluid, all the buzzwords I needed to make it sound like I wasn't just trying to get laid. I told my husband I loved him, that this wasn't about replacing anything, it was about adding something new. That much was true. I did love Joel then. I love him now. Joel looked stunned at first, like I'd knocked the wind out of him, but he didn't argue. He said we'd talk about it. And to his credit, we did. We spent weeks in conversation. We saw a therapist who specialized in polyamory. We set rules. Total honesty, no mutual friends, no overnights. All the boundaries you're supposed to have, and it worked. I got what I wanted. I slept with Nate. It was electric. The kind of thing that makes you feel like you've reversed time and erased a decade of domesticity. He made me feel sexy. Wanted. It wasn't a relationship. It was just some intense, short-lived fun. He lost interest after a few weeks and moved on. And that was fine. I lost interest too. If anything, it made us better friends. There wasn't this weird tension whenever we were in the same room together. We could actually talk to each other without wanting to tear the clothes of ourselves. I wasn't heartbroken. It served its purpose. I assumed I'd just move on to the next. But that's where things stopped going my way. I downloaded all the dating apps. Hinge, Tinder, Bumble, you name it. I updated my pictures. I wrote a bio that made me sound confident and open-minded. I figured the attention would come rolling in, but it didn't. The matches I got were either just plain embarrassing. They were either men who wanted to talk about my husband like it was some kink, or men who were socially stunted and emotionally vacant. I tried to be patient. I thought maybe it was just about getting into the right rhythm, but nothing clicked. I couldn't even go on some dates because nothing stuck. I kept thinking, where are all the men who are supposed to be chasing women like me? Meanwhile, my husband, who had agreed to all of this with visible reluctance, suddenly found his stride. It started slow. He didn't even go on the apps or websites. It was all organic. The first one was a woman from his cycling group, then someone from a dinner party we got invited to, a friend of a friend, then another woman from a professional event. These weren't hookups. These were women who liked him, who respected him, women who wanted him. And the worst part? They were attractive, smart, accomplished, and confident. Women I'd normally consider competition if I were still single. And now they were sleeping with my husband and cooking him dinner and telling him how amazing he is. And he is amazing. I could go on forever gushing about Joel. He's an optimist, but that doesn't stop him from being dependable. He talks a lot, but he listens too. He's flashy, but he knows who he is. Apparently, that's catnip to a certain kind of woman. And suddenly, I was watching my husband become the man everyone else wanted, and I was no longer the center of his attention. He never hid anything. He was open, respectful, and transparent. He always made sure I was okay. He was kind about it, almost too kind, like he was trying to protect me from my own idea. That made it worse. He didn't gloat. He didn't brag. He wasn't that kind of guy. He just quietly started living this new life. And somewhere along the way, I think he started to enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. I haven't met anyone worth a first date. And even those men were just meh. I feel like I'm walking around invisible, while my husband is basically starring in some feel-good rom-com where he finds himself after being the nice guy for too long. And yes, I'm bitter. I admit it. I thought I would be the one who got more out of this. I'm the one who initiated it. I'm the one who had someone lined up. He keeps asking if I'm okay with everything. And I keep saying yes because I don't want to be the one who says, never mind, I was wrong. But the truth is, I am uncomfortable. I don't like this version of our marriage. I don't like feeling like I'm competing for my own husband's attention. I don't like feeling like a side character in my own relationship. And I sure as hell don't like watching him get what I can't. So here's where I'm stuck. I want to ask him to close the marriage again. I want things to go back to the way they were, but better, obviously. I want us recommitted and focused on only each other. But I don't want to admit that I only ever wanted this to work for me, that I never pictured him actually enjoying it, that I thought he'd try it, hate it, and come crawling back, that I thought I'd sleep with Nate and get it out of my system, that I thought I'd get to be the wild one for once while he stayed loyal in the background, quietly grateful I didn't just cheat. I know this kind of thinking is wrong, okay? I did talk to our relationship therapist about it, and she told me that I was being selfish. But it's not my fault. I can't help how I feel. Now I'm not sure he'd even agree to close it, or if he did, whether he'd resent me for taking something away from him that's making him happy. And I hate that I'm even in this position. I hate that I can't win at the thing I started. I hate that I have to either confess the original motive or keep pretending I'm okay while feeling more sidelined every week. So Reddit, I guess this is where I ask for advice. How do I ask my husband to shut down the open marriage without looking insecure or controlling? How do I spin this so that it doesn't look like I'm taking something away from him just because I failed at it? Is there a way to make it about recentering on each other or wanting deeper intimacy, without coming off like a total hypocrite? I'm not looking for judgment. I already know how this sounds. I just want to know how to fix it, or at least how to come out of this with some dignity. Because right now, I feel like there's no way out of this. Commenter 1. An open relationship doesn't work for everyone, and both parties have to enthusiastically agree to it. I fear you forced your husband into an arrangement he didn't want. You dug the hole, now lie in it. Commenter 2. I don't know, man. You entered into the open relationship for all the wrong reasons. If sleeping with Nate didn't satisfy you, then I promise you that sleeping with 40 more people won't satisfy you either. Commenter 3. Everyone is being so nice here. We need to be meaner to you. You're the problem, lady, and you're also a narcissist. Joel seems like a great guy. Hope he finds better. Update, 3 months later. Hi again. I didn't think I'd be back here, but here we are. Some of you left some helpful advice and kind responses, but most of them were nasty. Just so you know, I won't be responding to the nasty ones, so don't bother this time. Now to the update. In case you don't know about the situation, let me catch you up. I posted a few months ago about asking for an open marriage, only for it to blow up in my face. The short version is, I opened the marriage because I was interested in a guy at work, Nate, who I was dying to sleep with. My husband Joel agreed very reluctantly, and after some long talks, therapy, and ground rules, we did it. I got what I wanted. I slept with Nate. It was exciting, validating, thrilling for a few weeks, and then it fizzled. Nate moved on. I figured I'd just hop on the apps and enjoy this new lifestyle. That didn't happen. The men I met were bland, immature, weird, or only wanted one thing without even pretending to care. Meanwhile, Joel, my sweet, kind, loyal, extroverted husband, was thriving, without even trying. He had women lining up. Attractive, smart, put-together women. Women who appreciated him and wanted him. So that brings us to now, because about 2 months ago, I finally did what I've been dreading. I asked him to close the marriage. I took you guys' advice, and I didn't go in guns blazing. I planned it for days. I rehearsed it in my head. I tried to approach it with vulnerability, logic, even a little romance. I told myself that if I could just frame it the right way, if I could make it sound like a natural topic instead of a panicked reversal, maybe he'd go along with it. I waited until a quiet Sunday evening. We'd just eaten dinner, washed the dishes, and were about to start a movie. I turned off the TV before he could hit play. He looked at me and immediately knew something was coming. Joel's always been intuitive like that. I told him I wanted to talk, and then I launched into it. I said I missed us, that I'd been thinking a lot about intimacy and commitment, that while the open marriage had taught us some things, maybe it was time to focus on just each other again. I used phrases like emotional clarity and rebuilding monogamy. I didn't mention that I hadn't been with anyone since Nate. I didn't mention how bitter I felt every time he came home glowing from a date. I didn't mention the jealousy or the resentment. I tried to keep it noble and loving. I kept the focus on our marriage, but Joel just sat there. He was very quiet, and he didn't even change his facial expression. He just sat there on our couch with his hands folded in his lap. After a long silence, he finally said, "Why now?" Reddit forgive me, but I didn't have a good answer. I danced around it. I think I said something vague about feeling disconnected. I really don't remember. He nodded slowly, and then he said something that broke me. I'm happy. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm allowed to be a whole person. I didn't realize how small I'd made myself in this marriage until I stepped outside of it. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. I wanted to ask him what the hell he meant by small, when I was the one who kept us together all those years. I was the one who did the emotional labor. I was the one who kept us afloat during the rough patches, but I stayed calm. I told him I was happy that he'd found joy, but that it didn't feel right anymore, that I didn't think I could keep going like this. He said, then maybe we shouldn't keep going. Just like that. I laughed at first. I thought he was bluffing, but his face didn't change. He still had that emotionless look on his face. He meant it. He told me as gently as he could that he didn't want to close the marriage, that he didn't need multiple partners, but he liked the version of himself he'd become since we opened things up, that he felt seen and appreciated in ways he hadn't felt with me in years, that he didn't want to go back to a dynamic that made him feel smaller just to make me feel bigger. I'll admit that part stung the most. I asked if there was someone else, if he was in love with one of those women. He said no, but he said that even if he were, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter because what mattered now was that we were clearly on different pages, that I'd opened a door neither of us could close without tearing something apart. At this point, I had started crying. My heart was beating out my chest. I realized that I was scared. I knew where the conversation was headed, and I was so effing scared. I decided to be a very brave girl and just rip the Band-Aid off. I asked the question I never thought I'd ask. Are you saying you want a divorce? He looked at me and smiled a little, and then he said yes. I wish I could say I handled it gracefully, that I was one of those women who realized that love was never wasted, even if it didn't work out in the end. I didn't. I cried. I pushed him a couple times. He's a strong guy. He barely moved. I accused him of punishing me for my mistake. I told him he'd waited for me to fail, and then used it as an excuse to walk away. He didn't raise his voice once. He just sat there and took it, like he was watching something inevitable finally unfold. After I got the fight out of my system, he patted me on the back and went to bed. I cried myself to sleep on the couch. The next few weeks were a blur. For the life of me, a major world event could have happened in those weeks and I wouldn't be able to remember. Heck, World War III could have broken out and I wouldn't have known. That's how out of it I was. I moved through life like a zombie. It even affected my work performance. Everyone noticed. I mean everyone. It turned from concerned stares to actual glares when I wouldn't come into work on time, or when I would mess up a document, or when I would leave work early to go get drunk on company time. Eventually, I got called in by my boss one Thursday afternoon. 2 hours later, I was clearing out my desk. All my coworkers watched as I did it. None of them talked to me. They didn't even wave goodbye, not even Nate. That hurt a bit, but whatever, their loss. As for Joel, he moved into a short-term rental down the street while we figured things out. We tried mediation first, but it was pointless. We both had lawyers within a month. I thought naively that we'd split things fairly. I thought we'd be civil. But the truth is, I had no idea how much of our life was in his name. The house, bought with his inheritance. I contributed to the mortgage, but he'd paid the down payment outright before we were married. The dog, he technically adopted her. The car, leased through his business. The retirement account, his. I had my own savings, but it wasn't much compared to his. I always thought we'd build our future together, so what was his was mine and mine was his. Except now it wasn't. It's always the stupid thing you really don't think about that comes back to bite you in the behind, isn't it? By the time the papers were signed, I'd resorted to moving into a one-bedroom apartment with noisy upstairs neighbors and a broken heater. The dog stayed with him. He kept the house, the car, the yard. I took some furniture and a pile of resentment. Our families were shocked. Everyone assumed Joel had cheated. No one wanted to believe I'd initiated the open marriage. I let them believe what they wanted. It was easier than explaining that I'd gambled everything and lost. Joel didn't. He explained in his own wacky way what had happened. They all took his side, of course. Even in rural Pennsylvania, everyone knew that you didn't just sleep with other people and walk away without consequences. We still live in the same town, so I see him around. His brother is living with him now. I think he has a new job down at our local gym. He's seen me too, of course. I wish he would just pretend I don't exist, but he's too sweet for that. He always smiles and waves. I think he knows that it hurts me. That's why he does it. I don't know if that makes him too kind or too cruel. I guess I'll never know. It's not like I can ask him. He also has a girlfriend now, so yippee. I hate her. That's all I'll say about that. Sometimes I still try to convince myself that I did the right thing, that I tried to be honest, that I tried to explore something instead of lying or sneaking around, that I asked for a conversation and didn't just betray Joel and break his heart. But deep down, I know what this really was. Yes, I am self-aware to know that. I've talked about it a lot in therapy. It's a different therapist than the one Joel and I had together. It's pretty expensive, but it does help me. I don't really have anyone to talk about the situation with. My therapist helped me see that I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. I wanted to sleep with someone else without consequences. I thought I'd be the one in control. I thought I'd be the one to come home, arms open, while my loyal husband waited patiently. Instead, he discovered a version of himself that didn't need me anymore. I thought I was the catch in the marriage. I guess other people saw it differently because I'm sitting here alone, No ring, no house, no marriage. Writing this follow-up to strangers on the internet because I still can't admit out loud to anyone I know that I did this to myself. So there's the real update. I asked for an open marriage. I'm divorced, alone, sad, and a little frustrated. My therapist wants me to start dating again, but I really don't think I'm ready for that yet. It's just been a couple of months, and my last dating experience didn't go so well. No advice needed anymore. It's done. I just thought some of you might want to know how it turned out. You can stop rooting for me now. P.S. If anyone is hiring, please help a girl out. I have no idea how much longer my savings can last. Update, 6 months later. The savings ran out. I'm back in Pennsylvania with my dad. I hate it here. The poverty I had grown up with and finally escaped has caught up with me. I hope all you haters are happy.